The government shutdown has not meant a thing to equities. As I think I mentioned yesterday, historically, stocks seem to do great when the government shut down. I guess I figured they can't do any more damage. So yeah, it's at worst immaterial and at best a positive for the stock market. Everything's green as usual. Not massively. The ES is up 0.09%, but things are pretty much notching lifetime highs in most major zones. My trade of the day / lucky pick was actually dust, of all things. And it's kind of like playing with fire because precious metals are extremely hot these days. But I went long dust yesterday. And it was a little discouraging because gold went up all night again. But it tumbled hard, and I got out of dust at about a 6% overnight profit, and that worked out okay. So we'll look a bit more at precious metals in a sec, but I just don't like sticking around with stuff like that, because not only is it a leveraged instrument, but it's precious metals. So we'll get to that in a bit. Let's look at some other charts right now. I've kind of trimmed my list because I keep running out of time. So I'm shrinking the list down to frame it properly. Here's the spider, which on the one hand is up, on the other hand is still below its broken trend line. It's a pretty little wedge right there going on, but for the past 6 days, it has been moving higher and yet below the break. It's also getting closer and closer to this apex, which is mildly interesting. We'll see if something happens before then. Of course, what I'd like to happen is for this thing to run out of gas and start to fall away, but it has not happened yet. You'll see teases and hints of that, but it never follows through. Each of those days has basically been a higher high and a higher low, with a little bit of wiggling in between. And as we back away here, you can see the wedge more clearly. You can also see the larger bullish pattern which preceded it. Much the same setup with the diamonds. We see the same wedge here. We also see the fact that for the past 6 days, to the penny at times, it's been tempting that trend line, but has never gotten above it, even a little bit. But it looks like another lifetime high close on this. And here too, you can see the much more significant bullish setup that was in place, which preceded this burst higher. And we've been sort of just kind of padding that ever since. So it will take a failure of this line here to offer any meaningful hope for diminished equities. Otherwise, it'll just keep going up until it stops. It's been big reversals today, like the Russell 2000, the RTY futures, for example. They peaked about an hour before the open, and they fell and fell and fell until about an hour after the open, and they've been up ever since. So the RTY is up. I mentioned how little the ES was up. Well, the RTY is up over 0.5%, so pretty outsized performance relative to the ES. As for China, this one popped higher as well. And I was looking at this a little more broadly. There's actually a not terrible relationship with the Fibonacci's on this one. You can see that from this peak to this bottom down here, these different zones of support and resistance seem to have power. You can see in these tinted areas how the price activity tends to be range bound in those areas, which would suggest this may have some more upside with a pretty firm ceiling at around this 0.764 level, like so, which we're getting close to, but not quite at yet. And again, aside from the Fibonacci, this trend line here is sort of ruling the roost. It would take a break of that to introduce any prospect of any weakness in China too, because China's been just coming along for the ride with all the tech success in the US. It's been had a very powerful, from April 7th forward, just about everything has moved up across the world. One especially important element of the China tech success story is Jack Ma's Alibaba. And this was the tippity top of that way back over 5 years ago. And it lost the vast majority of its value. But since then, it's been recovering nicely. with a series of higher lows and higher highs. And we are higher today than we've been going back for years, 4+ years. But there's to me, this has gone awfully far, awfully fast. And I think there's a real possibility that we could be just about done with this one. Let me hide that price here so it's not quite so intrusive. And also, let's just color that a little more appropriately to suggest for some resistance. So that's Alibaba right there, BABA, quite heavily traded. A little closer to home, Nvidia is just keeps on keeping on. Yesterday I mentioned it was a first company in history with a $4.5 trillion market cap, and now it's a little more than that. 5 trillion is not out of the question at this point in the months ahead. But once more, for there to be any just a sniff of failure on this, it would have to fail below this most recent breakout. It's not a very big breakout. It only goes back, a couple of months maybe. But this is cute little setup which led to the past few days of strength. And as I said, it would take a break of that because it's all about this virtuous cycle in AI with these multi-trillion-dollar, or in some cases like Oracle, sub companies making deals with one another. And it could be as newer companies like CoreWeave to older private companies that are quite large like OpenAI, which just finished a deal that values them at $500 billion. And again, they're private. I think it makes them the largest private company ever. But yeah, the AI mania, that is holding up the market. And if it keeps going on, you can just look forward to lifetime highs endlessly. And if for whatever reason that falters, well, God help the bulls, because that is the basis of the market. Just like the internet was the basis of the 2000 peak, and housing was the basis of the 2007 peak. Now, other semis. Here's AMD also having a good day, although I would point out this gap right here. This is worth noting. We are getting close to a gap which represents some minor price resistance, I would say, but very broadly, SMH, which is the semiconductor sector ETF, another lifetime high there. Just as I was crazy to go bearish on miners yesterday, I'm doing the same stunt with semiconductors today. I've gone ahead and shorted SMH, not based on any particular topping pattern, but just because it seems really, 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 really high. So we'll see if I get lucky on that one as well. But that's SMH like so, very elevated, and its own basing pattern was down here. It cut above it. You can see changing from resistance to support, 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 and then finally, round about early September, it began this rocket launch. My one long position, since I sold dust, remains IEF. This is the medium-term bond fund, and I did a little better job drawing these objects here, just so it's a little more clear what I'm thinking. But you can see this nice pattern that I've drawn, as well as support right here with this yellow line. A very tight stop on this. Basically, 96.08 is the stop loss level, and what I'm looking for is a break above this descending trend line to affirm the breakout here. I think this is a potentially good long-term bullish setup, and as I mentioned, it throws off a little bit of a dividend as well. That's kind of its ostensible purpose in the first place. Gold dipped today. It was down about twice as much as it is now. It's only down in the front month about $15. At the moment, we've got a bearish engulfing pattern, but as I said, I got out while it was good earlier today. I wasn't in position on gold or silver or anything like that, just the miners. We'll get to that in a moment. But so there's gold having a very unusual event, which is to go down. Silver also down about 0.75%, but as with gold, down only about half as much as it was earlier today. You can see here, this was this beautiful bullish setup. This was this months of just kind of screwing around. It was very frustrating. In spite of this lovely bullish pattern, it just kind of messed around for a long, long time. Then finally, back late in April, it quit messing around and just went blasting higher. So it's been very, very powerful ever since. But as far as the miners go, These opened strong today. They opened at a lifetime high. I did the very unusual for me thing of just getting rid of the stop loss order, just to kind of keep a close eye on it for a few minutes. And it didn't take long before it started to work out. So that was lucky. Obviously, the long-term pattern is still very powerful. I think there's plenty more potential for weakness besides this one little bitty dip. But the last time I pulled this was back here, and that worked out too. And I'm glad it didn't stick around because that would have ended poorly. But the instrument of choice was dust. Opened at a lifetime low today, but it was up a good 6% earlier today when I got out, and I am not getting back in. So, yeah. How are we doing on time? We have 50 seconds left. Oh my. You know what? Let's just end with crude oil. We haven't really looked at this yet. Crude oil is one of the very few blots of red on the screen right now. It's been down about 2%. And what I'm watching on this, and I've been watching for years actually, is this monster of a right triangle top. We'll call it a top even though it hasn't broken yet. And should it fail, and let's change this to green just to emphasize its role as support. Should it fail this level here, that would complete this very huge right triangle setup. As it is now, it's just been kind of gently gliding down in these waves, very, very softly and very in a non-volatile fashion. But this is a crucial support area, and I think will be indicative of really what the market thinks the global economy is doing based upon any such prospective failure. So it is the bottom of the hour, and I will say farewell, and we'll close the week out tomorrow.
If you're not subscribed, subscribe right here. And if you want to meet me and the team in person at our next live event, hit the link at the top of the description.